All right, everyone. Welcome back to Building Back Bryce's Bound Up Broken Body Better by Bending. It's a working title. I'm still working on it. I'm just going to run through my evening stretch routine. Pretty straightforward. I'm pretty immobile. You can see, so I'm currently working on the cat-cow and trying to really focus on extension through the upper back, and I'm just real bad at it. Okay, so cat-cow here, I'm trying to push the floor away and protract, still stay extended through the upper back. And then I'm trying to tuck my chin real hard, push my chest towards the floor, extend through the upper back, and drive my shoulders back and down. Kind of try to just increase that stretch back and forth. And I play with trying to maintain extension and or go into flexion when I go into the pushing away part. And when I do this here, I'm trying to sit back on my heels, try to just get a little bit of a stretch through my knees and quads. All right. I don't know what any of these are called. Here, I'm just trying to squeeze my butt, stay nice and tall, keep my ribs down, just work on my posture. Gets a nice, really, really nice stretch through my hips and quads, and just focus on, again, keeping the butt squeeze, not going into the extension through the upper back. Right, I'm trying to get some upper back extension here, drive my shoulders back and down, thinking big chest, tucking the chin, but all the while trying to, as best I can, keep ribs down, keep my butt squeezed. Then just go into some like pretty standard Ys and Ts, thinking about doing those same things, right? Nice and tall, butt squeeze, ribs down, trying to stay tall, reaching nice and high, going to some Ts. Again, pretty straightforward. I don't really have like a particular order to any of these. And this, I don't know what I would call this stretch. It's basically like the same things I was thinking about in the single arm row in the first video. I'm trying to reach one arm long and retract into press and pull that elbow back as much as I can. Here, I'm trying to stay extended, but reach my arms really, really long, like squeezing my pecs together, right? And then I go into some Ys and just like whatever these are called. They're like same positions and things I was trying to do against bands earlier, but now I'm just doing it in this kneeling position. Probably should have looked up some names of some of this stuff beforehand, but I don't really know. Here, again, butt squeeze, ribs down, try to stay nice and tall, but pull my shoulders back and down behind me. I get a nice stretch through my shoulders and neck. I kind of skipped over disclaimers and stuff. Not a yoga teacher, not an expert on stretching. You'll see this better when I switch arms. I'm tucking my hand behind me and trying to push my hand through my back, and then I lean my neck away, and I get a really, really nice stretch through my like traps and neck. Okay. Again, butt squeezed. Keep those ribs down as best you can. Try to get a nice stretch through the neck. Again, my traps and neck are pretty messed up from back when I played football. Turns out, running full speed with your head into someone for 8 years of my life was probably not a good idea. So again, pretty immobile, but this stuff keeps me moving well, keeps me feeling half decent. So we're gonna go back into cat-cow here. So tucking my chin, trying to push my chest to the floor, trying to drive my shoulders back and down. I try to keep my ribs down throughout. So I don't really want a whole bunch of movement through my low back and lumbar spine when I do cat-cow. Depending on who you ask, that might be wrong when it comes to cat-cow. That's okay. I don't need to, I'm not trying to gain more movement through my lumbar spine, really. I'm trying to learn how to gain movement through my upper back, my T-spine, while maintaining a neutral lower back, lumbar spine, neutral lumbar spine. Here, same idea, butt squeeze, ribs down, trying to pull my hands back and kind of open my palms up a little bit. I'm really bad at this stuff, clearly. Just like don't move as well as I should. And then going back into this where reaching arm long, trying to pull that elbow back as much as I can, really trying to exaggerate some rotation, but as best I can, as I rotate, I'm trying to keep my butt squeezed. You can see here, I lose it a little bit on my left side, but I'm trying to keep my butt squeezed, so I'm rotating all through the upper back and then going back into those same T's. So I do my stretching at night. Whenever you're just like chilling, watching TV or whatever you do at night, listening to podcasts, take 20 minutes, get on the floor instead of sitting on the couch and try to just move a little bit, figure out what feels good, what feels bad. If stuff does feel, not particularly good, try to chill in it and breathe in it. Okay, this stretch, basically go back on my knees, and I reach my arm across my body. I'm trying to get a really nice stretch through my lat here. And then you can see me inch my hand forward a little bit, and then I take breaths. And I'll just count like 10 breaths on the side. So I'm not counting how long the stretch is. I just count like 10 really deep breaths. That's usually what I do for most of the stretches. I kind of moved through that, honestly, quicker than I thought. Maybe because I knew I was filming myself the first time. The first cat-cow and like shoulder sequence feels like longer when I normally do it. But I usually try to do like 2 or 3 rounds. But yeah, this lat stretch, again, you'll probably see it pretty good from this side. So I lean across and try to reach forward, right? I'm trying to reach my arm long, and then I try to just inch forward and take deep breaths. And the breath becomes the stretch. Same as with that 90-90 drill we did in the warm-up, right? The breath is what becomes the stretch. It's not a good view. You're really bald, man. But yeah, the breathing becoming the stretching, I like that a lot. I use it, you'll see as we move into a few other stretches in a little bit here. I kind of just end up counting 10 breaths per stretch. And when you're doing that, usually you can like sink more into stretches. And if something feels particularly tight or particularly painful, if you think about like breathing into it and just like focus on whatever area is like particularly tight, you can usually like just get it to chill out. Again, by just breathing into it essentially. And then I think I'll go into one more round of these, staying tall, trying to reach my arms nice and long, trying to shrug up, and keep getting my neck out of the way. I'm always fighting to get my like chin pulled back. So hip slides. You do hip slides, pretty standard hip stretch. You've all seen it before. But when I do this, or when we teach this, try to keep your butt squeezed, try to keep your ribs down, and stay nice and tall. So I'm actually not doing a great job. You can see my head's leaned over a little bit, but most important is like shoulders and hips stacked. Okay, shoulders stacked over ribs, ribs stacked over hips, and keep that in line. Then I move into, I don't know, it's a basic hamstring stretch. I think it's called an elephant lunge. Okay, so I'm trying to push my hips back, legs straight. I'm going to feel a nice stretch through the back of my leg, and then as I take my breaths, try to get myself nice and tall and just keep pushing my hips back and back and back, and just try to increase the stretch. Again, just breathing, just breathe into it, stay nice and long. And then I'm going to come down into, again, not even sure what this is called. I call the whole thing just a yoga plex. Trying to push this knee out, the opposite of my left knee. Again, just sitting into the stretch. Keep those ribs down. And eventually here, I'm going to try to reach my elbow for the floor. All the while trying to keep my right arm locked. I got pretty bad, yeah, you can see my winging scap in that shoulder that I'm trying to fix. Pretty bad extension in that right arm. Tore my bicep when I was in like grade 11, or tore my bicep tendon, so I never gained that back. Okay, so yeah. Then from here, try to rotate up, push the floor away. Again, pretty brutal at this, but pushing the floor away, trying to keep my neck long, proud chest, and reach above me. And again, I'll just breathe into it, and the more I breathe into it, the more I'm going to be able to sit, like get more rotation and sit more into the stretch. All the while, in my front leg, I'm going to try to keep this whole foot in contact with the ground. And then we switch sides. I'm better this way. My left shoulder moves better. And my right elbow pushes my knee out, grabbing onto my foot, and I'm trying to just really, really open, retract and depress, stay long through the neck. And then we're going to switch sides and go back into hip slides. So the biggest thing with hip slides is, I think so. Yeah, okay. Biggest thing with hip slides, just stay tall, shoulders over ribs, ribs over hips. And we're trying to keep those stacked the whole time. If at any time to gain range of motion, right, or to lean more into the stretch, you feel like you need to flare your ribs or unsqueeze your butt, just don't. The other thing I didn't mention first go around, this is another example of a time when I'm focusing on like feeling whole foot contact, big toe, little toe, heel. And this is my bad ankle too, so I'm really trying to focus on getting a little bit more flexion in my ankle, dorsiflexion in my ankle. Biggest thing is like whole foot, keep your knee over top your foot, and keep your butt squeezed. Back into the elephant lunge. Again, just breathing into it, deep breaths. Then I'm gonna try to get nice and tall in my back leg, and then I'm gonna try to push my hips back even more. This is one where when I first start the stretch, it feels pretty tight. Then again, you think about where it's tight and you just breathe into it and the tightness goes away. So again here, trying to keep that left arm locked, keep the shoulder back and down. Then I'm going to push the knee out and trying to just sit into the stretch, and then I'll reach my elbow to the floor. Pretty bad on this side though. The thing I was trying to mention earlier that I didn't get to is I do this at night, and if nothing else, it just makes my body feel better, and probably my mind as well. It just makes you feel better. Definitely have gotten better at these drills and improved my mobility over time, if you can believe it or not. But more than like the benefits of that, it's mostly that it just makes me feel better and decreases like pain, any achiness that I may have, perception of pain before I go to sleep, and that helps me fall asleep probably as well. So yeah, so this is definitely my bad side. So really trying to keep my neck long, try to drive that right shoulder in my back pocket, but my right bicep and pec don't really open up too well on this side. Again, if you're struggling with a stretch or you can't get into a position, just breathe, take deep breaths, breathe, 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 breathe. So from here, move into a little bit of a hip opener. And oh yeah, I didn't mention this earlier. I'm always trying to get to a point where I can sit back and down onto my heels, but that has not happened yet. Too tight. So shout out to the Panda, Nick Trillo, Panda Powerlifting 74. He showed me this stretch in 2017. After I get through this, just like a little post tibial massage. I don't know, some trainer showed me this, not Nick. Some trainer showed me this in like 2012, and it was kind of just a bunch of, not pseudoscience, but just like made up whatever, but it just feels good. So I do that. Okay, so in this, I'm trying to set in a nice hinge position, right? And I'm trying to push my knee out and down, and then continue to extend in this back right hip and drive my knee out and drive my whole position forward. And this is the grossest stretch I have ever done for my glutes. And again, shout out to the Panda Powerlifting 74 for showing me this in 2017, because it makes my hips feel good. It's worse on this side. This hip doesn't move as well. Okay, so you sit back, hinge, right, and push your knee out, and then try to keep, good neutral position. Keep your butt squeezed in your back leg, and then just sit into the stretch more and more, and just push that knee out. And again, same thing, just breathe, take deep breaths, count breaths, and the stretch will increase. And whatever that like tightness and pain that you feel after 10 breaths, that'll be gone away. After that, just a couple adductor stretches. Yeah, just seeing how the knees feel, seeing how the hip extension feels. Yeah, bad angle. I also meant to mention, I'm definitely no Dylan CBB. I was pretty disappointed in my video angles. Should have been higher, could have been a better angle. I apologize. Thank you all for your patience. So we'll get a better angle of this stretch in a second, but basically just kind of sit back into my adductor, and And all those same cues. Keep good extension through my upper back, keep my ribs down, try to stay neutral, right? And at times, I think about trying to tuck my pelvis forward and externally rotating at my hips. Then other times, I try to hinge my hips back, push my big toe down, and internally rotate. So you can see I just switched it there. I kind of just sit, move around in both. If one feels worse, then I just play with it. Stand up, stretch my hamstrings a little bit, see how everything's feeling. Pretty mobile after I finish all that. And then I'm going to finish off with couch stretch. If you don't do couch stretch and you got tight quads, tight knees, you should do couch stretch. Okay, so when I do couch stretch, I'm trying to stay as perpendicular to the floor as I can, right? So hips should be stacked over knee, right? And then shoulders and ribs are going to be stacked over your hips, same as when we were doing hip slides. So I'm trying to keep my butt squeezed, keep my ribs down, and then from there, kind of just lean forward ever so slightly till you feel a little bit more quad stretch. And same principle applies. If you feel like in order to increase the stretch, you need to unsqueeze your butt or unstack your hips, just don't. Just keep your butt squeezed, keep your ribs down, stay nice and tall. As a general comment, it's kind of a good learning point for me. Clearly, I look at the ground too often, and I could probably do a better job of staying tall across the board. Stay tall like a puppet on a string. Nice and tall, nice and tall. That's it. So, hope you guys learned something. Hope this is helpful. Bruce, I hope you feel better soon. Take care. Bye.